Clinton, would you like to start with your memory and then choose someone to follow you?
Yeah, I I guess one of the things I remember is every Christmas or at Christmas time, Grandpa would hook up the horses and then he'd put the bells on. And I think he'd do it whether he had to go to feed or get hay or get silage or whatever he'd do. But I do remember at least once and probably more, he put the bells on and hooked the sleigh up and we all climbed on and we went down to Uncle Joseph's. And we had our little sleighs behind, and when we got down there, then Grandpa went out in the pasture, and Oni and Kenneth, and I don't know who else, had a tow rope behind the sleigh, and they skied on the snow like you would on water skis. That looked so fun, but I wasn't old enough or big enough or experienced enough to do that. But I do remember that it was and they hung in the barn until some antique dealer, well, he was a scrap dealer. He always come bought our old batteries and I don't know what else, primarily batteries for scrap. But he wanted those bells. He tried to buy them, and Dad wouldn't sell him. And finally, borrowed them. And then we didn't see him for about a year. When he come back, he told us this story how his shop had burned down and the bells got burned up, but he'd get us some new. He's watching for some new ones. We never got them, but we never had bells for Christmas after that. And every time I go into the barn, even yet, I still look for those bells hanging up by the harnesses and the horse collars. So when we were on our way from Idaho to Tucson this fall, we stopped at Smith and Edwards, and they had brass bells. You could buy them per piece. The little small ones are about $3, and the big ones were 8 and 10 and 12. And I thought about buying them. Then I thought about where I was going to put them, and we got talking about Christmas with Carrie, and she heard that I was serious about getting some bells. Next time I got there, she got online and bought a set of bells put on that are hooked up to a big strap by the Amish. Now I just need a horse, but I don't know where I'm going to keep it. Maybe I'll borrow, the neighbor has a metal horse that's a sculptured metal horse.
You hook it up to your motorhome, Clint.
Well, my motorhome doesn't trot. The motorhome doesn't trot very good. We have in the
come up with.
We have a back.
So that there's a stick from the wheel that goes up and bounces it every time the wheel goes around.
Okay. Well, we put them in the back seat of the car, and when we go over bumps, we hear them.
Put them on your back and jog around.
Well, yeah. We went. They have a Christmas tree lighting here on the first Saturday in December here in Marana, but it was just a drive-through. So we went. And I took the bells, and every time we drove by one of their booths or their Santa Claus or whoever was there, I'd ring the bells. They all got a kick out of it.
Good for you. That's sweet.
Yeah, you're all right.
Well, I think Roy should tell us a Christmas memory if he can remember.
I can remember getting out of bed a couple of times. Trying to sneak down to see if I could see what there was.
Did you get any presents?
I must have done, but I can't remember.
What about it? Go ahead, Joe.
I can remember when I first started coming up there, Marge gave me she had a sock for me. I'd never had a sock. Grandma didn't do things like that. But it was one of John's socks and had orange and some think taffy candy and I think shampoo or something like that. I was just thrilled to death. Loved it. So that was my favorite.
About how old were you, Joe?
I was 16 and grandma gave me um, it was for my cedar chest because I like collecting stuff then for my cedar chest. And it was and you see them now in the DI once in a while, but none of them were like the ones she gave me. They were all a little different, but hers was small and it was like a walnut and it had a little squirrel on it, ceramic. And when you opened it up, she had homemade candy and stuff in it. And I treasured that forever. And when in one of my moves here in Utah, I think when I first moved to Sandy and moving over here to where we are now, I mean, 20, 30 years ago, whenever it was, the first time, and it got broke and I was just, I tried to glue it back together and there was just too many pieces. So when Roy and I got together, we'd see them once in a while in the DI. So I started collecting them and they were all bigger and different, but none of them were as, finely, detailed and stuff like the one grandma gave me. But anyway, I was just thrilled with those. Just to have John's sock with stuff in it, I was excited. But it was fun. I loved it. I loved Christmas up there because there was kids and I didn't have anybody. So Christmas meant a lot to me when I started going up there.
Thank you. Okay, it's you guys' turn to choose the next one.
Oh, us.
The next one, what?
That tell their memories.
Well, how about you?
Okay. Um, one Christmas, so we did have stockings, and we would lay them out. We might hang one on the back of a chair or over the couch arm or something like that. And we'd have an orange and some hardtack candy and some nuts, and I just left my sock, and 2 or 3 days after Christmas, I started getting stuff in my sock again, nuts and candy. And, oh, that was so fun. And come to find out, Margie did that.
Oh. Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
All right. I choose Luana.
Okay.
We can't hear you, Luana. Are you on mute?
I am, sorry. My first Christmas that I kind of remember, there's several of them right in a row. I got a sleigh with my name on the bottom of it, and Paul and Dan each got a sleigh with their names on the bottom of it. And I thought that was the neatest Christmas gift in the world.
Was
And
the
I don't
sleigh
know how-
big enough? The sleigh big enough like you for a child to ride on it?
Yes, they were. They were big enough for, and Dan's was smaller and mine was medium and Paul's was bigger. And you
Oh.
could fit 2 people on Paul's if you really them on. And they were beautifully painted red, and our names were in white stencils on the bottom. And found out later that Kim had made those in wood shop, and Mom had not known what in the world she's going to do for us for Christmas that year, and found out that Kim had made them in wood shop. So that was
Awesome.
really fun.
Oh.
That was really sweet. I remember I asked for a truck for Christmas. I asked Santa Claus for a truck for Christmas, and I got a doll. And so Paul and Dan and I took the doll out, and it wet its pants and closed its eyes. So we took it out and did an operation to find out how come it could do that. So that was the end of that doll within about a day or so. I was so disgusted. Didn't know why. Yeah. So didn't know why in the world Santa would think I wanted a doll when I'd asked for a truck.
Okay, Luana, it's your turn to choose someone.
Okay. Paul, what have you got?
Well, I guess I would, those sleighs, I remember that, was pretty exciting. But those sleighs were old sleighs that they'd replaced the deck on it with just a piece of plywood. So it didn't have the slats anymore. It was a solid piece of plywood. I love those. I guess the one time we were at the England place, and we'd always have to get up and see what Santa Claus got us. Then they'd go milk the cows, and that'd take about 4 hours or 5 hours. And so then that's when we would get to open our presents. So I guess probably we had seen the little video about the boy that got up early and milked the cows. So Ben and I decided we wanted to be able to get up and see what Santa Claus brought us, and then be able to open our presents. So we got up and early, I think about 4 o'clock, and went out and started milking cows, and we got the cows milked by the time everybody else was getting up. And so then we was able to go back, and when we were just flat proud of ourselves. I just remember the feeling we had that we were doing something so that everybody could have Christmas opening presents right after Santa Claus. And so I must have been a teenager by then, but that I remember that Christmas probably because I was doing something besides just getting.
That's awesome, Paul. Speaking of that, is Ben with us today? Did anybody get him on?
I don't think you can hear him today. He's muted.
Well, I just unmuted you in time, I think, so.
Well, I don't understand. Is Ben with us but muted? I don't see Ben on the participants list. Is he here?
I called in, so this is Ivan. I called in with Tim.
Oh, thank you, Ivan. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Maybe we better hear something from Doug.
Okay. I remember getting a Christmas tree every year, and I think that my father, it was his responsibility. I think he did it a little begrudgingly, but with my mother's insistence. But one thing I remember is that he did something that I had never seen before or since do. To get it perfectly balanced to his satisfaction, he would take a wooden hand brace and bit and drill holes in the tree and put branches in appropriate places so that it would be beautiful and symmetrical. For Christmas season, especially Christmas time, we had oranges. We'd get a crate of oranges and nuts. Every year in our stocking, Christmas Eve, Christmas morning, we'd have our socks would be full of nuts and an orange in the top. And we quite often had peanuts, but at Christmas time, we got a mixture of nuts. My favorite were Filberts. And I guess we can say the word now, but I knew them as nigger toes. They were really nice, big nuts that we only had at Christmas time, as far as I knew.
Did they have shells on?
They had really tough shells. It was tough to get them out.
And what would you call them today?
I can't remember the official.
Brazil nuts.
Brazil nuts. Okay. I remember one night, Christmas Eve,
I was told that Santa Claus would come, but he wouldn't come till I was asleep. I was trying my hardest to go to sleep, but so excited I couldn't go to sleep. I was listening to the radio, and they said they had seen a sighting of Santa Claus leaving the North Pole. And then there was a little bit later, they said they'd seen a sighting over the northern part of Canada. So I knew he was on his way, but I could not go to sleep because of the excitement. But my mother kept reminding me that Santa Claus would not come to people who was awake. So
How old were you about then?
Audrey asked me how old I was. I don't know. Still believing in Santa Claus pretty heavily. I think it was the next morning I got up, and we could not go in to see what Santa Claus brought until I can't remember if all the livestock was fed or certain ones of them were fed. And my father and John were out feeding, and we were not allowed to go in to see what Santa Claus brought until the livestock was fed. And then when they finally got the livestock fed and taken care of, then they come in and we went in to see what we gotten for Christmas.
Doug, do you remember the time that we had to wait and wait and wait and wait and wait and wait, and we couldn't figure out why? And it was because they're trying to get Ken's basketball inflated, and Paul had to go to Wilmer's or something.
I do not know that one. No, don't remember that one.
Okay, go ahead. I interrupted. Go ahead.
Then in about second grade, someone told me that at school that Santa Claus wasn't real, that was not a real thing. And I knew right off that they were wrong because I had personally seen him three different times. Once at a church party, he came. I saw him once. He came to school, and then once I saw him at a store in Salt Lake. And then kind of to the second witness of that, this person that told me Santa Claus wasn't real, he said that our parents brought us gifts. And I knew for sure that Santa Claus was real, because I knew my parents would not bring me the stuff that Santa Claus had brought me. So Louise, have you had your turn?
Well, I've got something else to say if I get another turn.
Okay. Audrey, do you have anything to add?
I guess Christmas was a little different at my house when I was little, because we opened presents on Christmas Eve. Now that was always a mystery to me, why Santa Claus came to my house on Christmas Eve, and our very next door neighbors, he didn't get there until Christmas morning. But I knew Santa Claus was coming because there'd be bells ringing, and and my brothers and uncles or whoever was there would look out the door and see him, and they'd have me running from door to door to try to see him. And so I knew he was coming. And once in a while, they would leave a present for Christmas morning for me to get. Like one time I got a little piano, play piano, and they didn't give me that until Christmas morning. One thing that concerned me as a child was I'd started going to church, and so I knew about Jesus and the connection on him being born on Christmas, but we never talked about him at my house. We had a nativity set, and my mother probably did talk to me about that some when she was putting it up. But I remember sitting by the Christmas tree and and wondering why our family didn't talk about Jesus and his connection with Christmas. But other than that, my family was very good to me. I didn't get lots and lots of presents, but I got some, and usually a doll, it seemed like. And so I was happy and excited about Christmas always.
You pick somebody.
Oh, Amber.
So I guess I have a couple things. Unlike some of you who wanted oranges in your stocking, that was my least favorite part about Christmas. And I usually either gave it away, but one year, I guess I left it in my stocking. And the next year, when my mom pulled our stockings out of the basement, she found the petrified orange from the year before still in my stocking. Because that was weird that I got fruit when all I wanted was candy. So that was not that interesting to me. I liked every year that we got to have a real Christmas tree. Our neighbors, the Wallentines that worked at BYU, had a Christmas tree farm they would sell for their son's missions, and we were never allowed to put it up before December 7th, which was Heather's birthday, which I could never figure out why that was the rule, but I think it's because my dad didn't love to do that in the first place because it was a lot of work. But then I guess, Christmas time, not necessarily Christmas Day, but definitely the Christmas parties we'd have at our house with the family that was around in the area was one of the best memories of Christmas overall. Playing games, eating pizza. My favorite Christmas dinner or Thanksgiving dinner or any dinner would be pizza, so that was A+ that we got that for a long time, and then had leftovers usually because there were so many that my mom made. And then playing games with cousins and sledding if there was snow out. I think Justin had maybe a little more adventurous times with some of the sledding than I did, or Willis, I don't remember which ones, but yeah, definitely liked going to the Knaps or Ken and Colleen's during that time and just seeing cousins. I wouldn't say presents were, I always remember getting good presents, but I can't remember what they are now, so it's definitely more memories than the actual present itself. I was really big on feeling presents, and I could tell you what they were and who they were for, so my mom stopped putting names on the presents because I would be snooping under the tree a lot, but I still was a really good detective. I could tell what the presents were, except for one time, one for me, I couldn't figure it out. I remember asking Dawn if it was a Barbie, and she's like, well, kind of. And it was really paper dolls, so I guess it was kind of like that, but I was mad I couldn't figure that one out. But yeah, so those are some of my memories. I guess I'll hand it over to Tim.
Nice. I remember some of my presents. My favorite present I got as a kid, I remember one year I got a football, and it had a University of Utah logo, had the Utes logo on it, which I thought was weird because we were all BYU fans. But it was still cool, and I remember going outside and playing catch with my siblings in the snow when that happened. And then the year after, I got a little mini basketball, and I was really excited. And I remember my dad taking us to the church with me and some of my other siblings on Christmas Day to let me try out my basketball. So I remember going and trying to shoot baskets at the church, and the janitor custodian guy came in and was irritated that we'd go play in the church on Christmas Day. But I remember my dad saying, like, well, these little kids has got this stuff for Christmas. Why wouldn't that be like a normal thing to do? Go shoot in the gym. And then I got a Michael Jordan basketball a couple years later, and that was awesome. And I practiced dribbling that's when we moved to Idaho. And I'd dribble for hours in the basement with that thing, trying to teach myself to dribble between my legs and stuff. So I guess I like getting basketballs and footballs, but I do remember it was always exciting going to sleep the night before and knowing the next day you'd have presents, and we would line up. I think we'd line up oldest to youngest in the morning early, and then we'd go find all of our presents. But that's kind of a fun memory that we'd all line up and go together. And then as I got older, and we'd do names where we'd exchange, like we'd draw out of a hat and each pick one person to get presents for. We would exchange those on Christmas Eve, and we would do youngest to oldest. So that was good for me. Being the youngest is like the first time I ever got any kind of preferential treatment in my life. Because I had to wait till I was like 16 to be old enough to ride in the front of the car.
Our family does the thing with the hat, but we do it way, way earlier.
Nice. So I have really fond memories of going to Doug and Audrey's. It blew my mind that we got to eat pizza. It was something besides macaroni and cheese and ramen and baked potatoes. So I loved Audrey's pizza, and I couldn't believe how good her pizza was. And every once in a while, maybe once a year, our family had pizza, but Audrey's pizza was round, was circular, like they make at the restaurants instead of rectangle pizzas. So Audrey's pizza seemed pretty legit to me. And I like going sledding too. And I think Willis is the one that was sledding behind Doug's truck and got too much momentum on a turn and ended up in what are the ditches called?
The manure pit, literally where they just put all the manure from the farm.
Yeah, so that was Willis that ended up in the manure pit. And then the other thing I liked about our family parties with Doug and Audrey was the white elephant gift exchange. And actually, if you just hold on just a second.
Very good.
Here's the unicorn that's been going around for a few decades.
That's awesome.
What are you going to do with it this year when you don't have a white elephant gift?
I'm going to keep it safe and sound till I have a reason to give it back someday. So that's it for me. Those are my Christmas memories. Maybe we should go back. Maybe we should choose Dawn. Is Dawn ready to tell her stories?
Dawn?
Yeah, Dawn here.
Hi. Okay. So my favorite Christmas memories, like Amber and Tim, were of the Christmas party at our house that we had with all the cousins when Louisa's kids and family are the ones I remember most. Although I do remember Ed's wife. Who is Ed's wife?
Maxine.
Maxine. I remember she won the donut contest eating one year. And we were all surprised because she was this skinny little thing who could eat the most donuts. But my favorite game that we played was the candy bar game with all the kids. And you had to open a candy bar with oven mitts and knives, I think. And when you rolled the dice when you rolled doubles or something, and you had to pass it along when somebody else rolled
Doubles, 7
doubles.
and 11.
Oh, double 7 and 11. Yeah, anyway, that was my favorite game. I remember getting an Easy Bake Oven, which I loved that Easy Bake Oven. But I remember thinking, I don't know if Santa can be real because I don't know if Santa would give me an Easy Bake Oven. But I remember making my teacher, I was so excited to use that Easy Bake Oven. So I remember making my teacher a little cake in it, and I brought it to school and gave it to her. And she said, "Oh, thank you. It's a cookie. It's a big cookie." And I was devastated because how could she not know that was a cake? So those are some of my favorite memories. I remember loving Christmas time. I remember one time I got a purple bike, and it was inside, and we rode it around. We had a connection between the kitchen, the living room, and the dining room. So we just rode it in circles around the kitchen, the living room, and the dining room because there was too much snow outside. I do remember playing Duck, Duck, Goose, whatever game it was, in the snow when Louisa's family came over for our Christmas party. And I do remember loving sledding when my dad would tie tubes and sleds behind the cars and the truck and going around all the farm roads. Trying to think if I have any other Christmas memories. I love getting books in our stockings every Christmas. I love the pizza parties. I love being able to have pizza. Oh, and one of my favorite things was we didn't get to have sugar cereal, but on Christmas morning, we would get a small box of cereal that was usually some kind of sugared cereal in our stockings. So that's what we ate for Christmas morning breakfast. And I loved getting those little boxes of cereal. I think those are all my memories.
I forgot about the
I just love
candy bar game. The candy bar game was amazing.
Yeah, I love that.
Bernie loved it too.
Bernie loved the candy bar game?
Yes, I have pictures of him.
Because he liked the chocolate or because he liked watching the kids?
I don't know. I don't remember Bernie liking it that much, but I just remember me loving it. I remember Jess and I played this game called the matchstick game, where you lay matches across the top of a 7-Up bottle, and you try to see how high you can stack it. You stack them one way, then the next way, then one way, then the next way. And I remember my mom took a picture of that, and we saw that picture somewhere.
Yeah, I remember you playing that game.
Yeah. Anyway, I remember hearing a quote the other day saying that if you had a magical Christmas growing up, that means you had a mom who loved you.
Mm-hmm.
And I sure thank my mom for providing all those magical Christmas memories for us.
I guess your mom loved the rest of us too, because my kids, one of their favorite thing is their Christmas party.
Yeah, that was our favorite thing too, having you guys come over. That was the highlight of the Christmas season.
Turn, Carrie.
Well, if I'm going
Hey, Dawn, you get to pick the next person.
I don't know who's on here, honestly.
So
Carrie's over here jumping up and down saying, pick me, pick me.
Who?
My wife, Carrie.
Okay, I choose Carrie then.
I wasn't jumping up and down really, but my daughter's coming to pick me up. So if I'm going to have a turn, I had amazing parents, all sets of them, because Christmas was always magical. But the one that I remember was my sister and I got matching rubber dolls. And this is probably 60 years ago. The first thing I ever did when I got a doll is I'd take the head off and smell the inside of the doll because I loved the rubber smell. And they don't smell the same anymore. But that's just one of my kinky things. But I found out after I was grown up, I had two mothers, my mother who passed away, and then very good seamstress. And when Dad and her didn't have money for Christmas, she would hit the yard sales and get material and make stuff. But us kids never did know that because everything was always amazing. And I remember my senior year of high school, I wanted a hope chest. And I got a hope chest, and my brother, who's 7 years younger than me, was teasing me. He said, yeah, she wanted a padded bra for her hope chest. He always said something smart, but I did get my hope chest and I've still got it.
Okay, choose someone, Carrie.
Let's see.
Ben's hiding.
Ben, yeah. Hurry up, Ben, before my daughter comes.
Me? I think I'm on mute.
We can hear you.
You can hear me?
I just turned you off.
Oh, good grief. I don't know what I'm going to say. I thought I was free today because I was muted through this other system here. Well, I guess our mother loved us because I think Christmas was always magical. I remember some of the fun gifts. It was the only time you could have a bicycle in the house. I remember a brand new Schwinn bicycle. And but I do remember year after year and through the winter time we had a tricycle and we could run it through the boys' bedroom and through that door and kind of tore up the door jamb a little bit, but then we run it into the living room past the stove and round and round. I don't know how she put up with it, but it made Christmas a lot funner. I do remember getting the Christmas tree from up on the hill. We had to pick out the best looking juniper we could find, and I do remember poking some branches in the hole. I didn't remember Grandpa doing that, but obviously it wasn't new. Saying. I remember having, the only time of year we had candy all over the place. I remember the Crunchy being quite unique. And there's nothing that tastes quite like the combination of Corn Flakes and coconut together. And then it'd have peanuts and Rice Krispies and, maybe we added puffed rice or Rice Krispies, I guess. And then it was too much and then the cooked candy like popcorn balls, but we just stuff it back into the cornflakes boxes. So then we'd pull it out and cut it off in squares instead of having big round balls.
Ben, does Ivan have you? Did Ivan get you on?
Yeah.
Good. So
Okay,
So I think I pick him, but I don't know. It might be too embarrassing how cruel we were if he tells the story. I suspect he might.
Well, all right, I'll go. I remember we used to always make sports, my brother and I, and we would open one present on Christmas Eve, and then, you know, if it was pajamas, we would wear it or whatever. And I remember we made this big, huge fort. It was amazing. It was like the entire half of the living room. And I opened up, I think it was the Beach Boys cassette tape of the Beach Boys. So we listened to Beach Boys going to bed that Christmas Eve. But then the story that I think is expected that I tell is, so I will say this, that I do not admit to anything, but they tell me that I peeked at everyone's present. I would rip a little hole in it so that I could see in the paper, so that I could see what it was, and so that I knew what everybody was getting for Christmas. And then I very cleverly taped it back together, and may or may not have used an entire roll of tape to do that. So yeah, that was the year that I got coal and a snowball in a jar, so that when it melted, it was just a jar full of water. So yeah, I think those are my memories. And I'm on the phone, so I can't actually see who I was on, but
Okay, they're Ruth Calabro and John Calabro, and a couple on the cell phone. I can't tell who they are. I guess one of them is you, Ivan. And
yeah.
and Lawana might be the other one. Is there anybody on by telephone other than Ivan and Lawana?
No, it's just them.
Okay. All right. I get Ruth and John have not reported, and maybe everybody else has.
Well, that
I
sounds
am
great.
on iPhone, but I can still see everything and stuff.
Is that John?
Uh-huh.
All right, John, you're up, bud.
Turn on your
Well,
camera, Johnny, so we can see you.
okay. I can't really think of anything much to talk about, so I'll just say what I remember from what everybody else has said. Well, I certainly think Christmas Crunchy is delicious, and
What's Christmas Crunchy?
it is like Corn Flakes and Rice Krispies and coconut and peanuts and stuff like that all mixed together, and then it tastes very delicious.
John, John, do you still have a grandpa haircut?
Yeah.
Oh, how long you gonna keep that haircut?
That's to be determined. How long do you think I should keep it?
3 seconds.
Interesting. Well, I can't really think of anything much that's new. I am not very aged and knowledgeable of the past Christmases. So.
Well, if you're done, choose your mother then.
What?
If you're done, choose your mother.
Okay. Well, okay. my mother.
Thanks, John. Okay, Ruth.
Unmute, Ruth.
Okay. We've had youth Sunday school, so I missed part of it, but I got on to hear some of it. It's been really fun to hear other people's experiences and to review some of the fun things from my childhood too. So thank you. This is fun. In addition to those really great things, I don't know if anybody mentioned this, and it's not exactly Christmas, but certainly for Louisa's family, it ties in, is Joseph Smith's birthday, which is December 23rd. I can't remember how old I was, but I remember thinking, Joseph Smith's birthday is so important. We're going to a restaurant. That is, and we went to the Golden Apple, which would be like Chuck-a-Rama or Golden Corral, I think buffet style. But I was so amazed that something was as big of a deal that it would cause us to go to a real restaurant, not just to get our free coupon of McDonald's fries or whatever we got from school. Anyway, I also remember loving hearing Christmas carols and helping to sing Christmas carols and be where there were Christmas lights. And no, not really anything specific, but that's still lights and sacred Christmas music, Christmas spirit, very quickly to me still, I think. Loved the memories with Doug and Audrey's family and the others. I also remember one year we were Ken and Colleen's, and we acted out the nativity, and it was so fun. There were so many people to fill all of the roles, and I'm sure there are pictures somewhere of the 3 wise guys, and we probably had real fuzzy lamb looking stuff to dress up as the lambs and shepherds and whatnot. And in our own family, one of the traditions that I really enjoy is setting up the nativity set with our family and reviewing the scriptures from Luke 2 and from Matthew 2. And also when I was pretty young, one of my brothers told me that Santa Claus was not real. And as an adult, I questioned that because my brother told me that it was the mom and dad that were Santa Claus. But as a mom, there were plenty of Christmas times that Santa and or gifts showed up that weren't from us. And so I'm really touched by the generosity of Santa and the spirit of Christ and service and generosity. Thanks. I don't know if there's anybody else to choose if I was the last one, but if not.
Kim is now on. He wasn't on before, but he is now.
Great. Okay, Kim, I give you the microphone if you have some Christmas memories to share.
Can you hear us, Kim?
I guess if we're waiting for a minute, I would just say, as they talked about, though, I thought of the Christmas foods that we had only on Christmas. And that was, I guess, and Thanksgiving maybe, was fruit cup. And nobody else I ever talked about has ever had fruit cup. And my in-laws and my son-in-laws and daughter-in-laws look at me like we're crazy when we introduce them to fruit cup. but we still do that. Also, as just our kids, so we started a few years ago, 12 Days of Christmas with a nativity set, and that has been a lot of fun. We quit probably this last couple of years since we don't have anybody to run it. So what we take is a nativity set, take it all out of the box, deliver the box on the first, and so it'd be 11 pieces, and so we deliver the box on the first night, and then a piece of the nativity, and then the baby Jesus shows up the last on Christmas Eve, and we do that anonymously. So we go knock on the door, and we only got caught over the 15 years we did it. We probably only got caught a couple times, but that's because they were faster. That's why we decided we weren't going to do it when the kids were gone, because we didn't have anybody to run that fast.
Awesome. Awesome. Are we not able to get Kim on? Does Sandy want to share?
Mine was pretty much just the same thing as everybody else. We do Christmas
All right.
dinner at home and open a present. My grandparents would always come out, and then Christmas Day we went to grandma's with all the cousins. Just lots of fun memories, fun times together.
Okay. Is there anyone on the call that has not shared?
I can share
Yeah.
some Christmas memories if you'd like.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm sure there's more than this that's not coming to mind at the moment, but one thing I can remember is that my mom would make like a shrimp fried rice for usually Christmas Eve dinner or New Year's Eve dinner. I don't think it was really like a fixed tradition, but something that she often did for the holidays. And so that's something I remember. I was an only child growing up, so Christmas was usually pretty low key. We would have presents and a Christmas tree and everything, but mostly for Christmas, we would just kind of watch movies or relax. But one of my earliest Christmas memories is, and I think this is something that came from my dad's Christmas traditions in his family growing up. But we would set up a model train and kind of watch it go around the tracks. And so that was something that my dad started, and probably I don't remember when we discontinued that tradition. It was probably when I, as a little boy, must have disassembled the train and taken it apart or something. So I don't know, but that's that's just a short version of my Christmas memories.
Thank you, David. Is there anyone on the call who has not had a turn other than Kim? Kim shows up, but he's, I don't know why he. Tim, from your screen, can you tell what's happening with Kim?
No.
Okay.
Kim, can you hear us? I can see him, but doesn't look like he's talking.
Okay.
I just wanted to say one more thing. When Carrie said about Hope Chest, my grandma had Clint make me a cedar chest for graduation. I think it was a kit, some kind, if I remember right. But anyway, I've had that cedar chest all these years. When Clint came back from his mission, he gave me a multicolored dresser scarf, and I put over that for years until I moved here a couple years ago, and then I give it to my son. But anyway, I've always really treasured that cedar chest and had it clear full of things when I got married. So anyway, Clayla, I really appreciated you doing that, but I just had to throw that in there. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Joe. All right. For 1 week from today,